Elena Hart, age 45 years, was known in the city as a powerful woman who built her empire from nothing. Her presence carried confidence, but in that hospital corridor her strength looked shaken for the first time in years. Marcus Reed, age 38 years, stood beside a hospital bed holding a stethoscope in his hand that did not belong to him. He was not a famous doctor, not a rich specialist, just a man who once worked construction and learned first aid from old field medics during hard years of life. On the bed lay Noah Reed, age 10 years. A small boy with pale skin, tired eyes, and a fragile body that had already fought too many battles for his age. Around them doctors stood frozen. Dr. Patel, age 52 years. Dr. Morgan, age 47 years. And two young residents who had just witnessed something they could not explain. The monitors in the room were stable now, but only moments ago they had been failing. Elena Hart's voice broke as she looked at her son. She had flown through meetings and boardrooms her whole life, controlling billions, yet she could not control this moment. Noah had collapsed during a private event at the hospital charity gathering. Top doctors had tried everything. They said there was nothing more to do. The words had felt like a final door closing. Marcus had been there only because he was working temporary maintenance in the hospital. He was not supposed to enter patient care areas. But when he saw the commotion, his feet moved before his thoughts could stop him. He had seen Noah through the glass. The boy looked like his own son, who had passed years ago in a rural clinic when help arrived too late. Something inside Marcus broke open. He stepped inside without permission. The doctors shouted at him to stop. Elena turned, shocked and furious at a stranger touching her child. But Marcus was already focused only on the boy. He placed his hands gently where he had once been taught pressure could help circulation in emergencies. He spoke softly to Noah even though the boy was unconscious. "You are not leaving yet," he whispered. "Not today." The room filled with tension. Machines beeped irregularly. A nurse called security. But then something changed. Noah took a shallow breath. Dr. Patel froze mid-sentence. That should not have been possible. Marcus adjusted the boy slightly and checked breathing patterns the way he had learned in emergency workshops years ago when he could not afford medical school. He noticed something the others had missed. A blocked airway reaction triggered by a rare delayed complication not fully visible in scans. It was not textbook simple. It was subtle. And it was dangerous because everyone assumed the main illness was the only problem. Marcus acted quickly, using a basic manual technique he had learned from a retired army medic who once lived in his neighborhood. Slow, steady pressure. Careful alignment. Patient breathing rhythm guidance. Minutes passed like hours. Elena stood still, watching this stranger work on her child as if he understood something the entire hospital had overlooked. Her anger slowly turned into confusion. Then fear. Then something closer to hope. Noah coughed suddenly. A sharp sound that broke the silence. The monitor stabilized further. Dr. Morgan stepped forward, disbelief written across his face. "This should not be happening," he said quietly. But it was happening. Noah opened his eyes slightly and looked at Marcus. He whispered a faint "thank you." Elena covered her mouth, tears forming without permission. Marcus stepped back immediately as security finally entered the room. He raised his hands calmly. "I am not staff," he said simply. "I just saw something wrong." The guards hesitated because the child was now stable. Dr. Patel examined the results quickly and realized the truth. The blockage had been missed. Even their advanced team had overlooked it. A silence spread through the room, heavier than before. Elena turned slowly toward Marcus. "Who are you?" she asked softly, now no longer angry but shaken. Marcus looked at her, then at Noah. "Just someone who could not walk away," he said. In that moment something shifted in Elena Hart. She had spent her life trusting titles, degrees, and wealth. Yet here was a man with none of those who had done what the best system in the city failed to do. Later that night, Noah was moved to a recovery room. Marcus returned to his maintenance duties, trying to disappear into his normal life again. But Elena could not let him go. She found him near the hospital corridor, sitting alone, drinking cheap coffee from a vending machine. The hospital lights were dim now, softer. The noise of the day had faded into quiet echoes. Elena approached slowly. "You saved my son," she said. Marcus shook his head. "I only saw something others missed." She sat opposite him despite the difference in their worlds. For a long time neither spoke. Outside the window the city moved with its usual rhythm. Cars passing. Distant sirens. The quiet hum of life continuing without pause. Elena finally spoke again. "I built companies worth billions," she said. "I thought I understood value." Marcus looked at her carefully. "And now?" he asked. She smiled faintly through tired eyes. "Now I think I was wrong about many things." There was silence again, but this time it was peaceful. Elena asked about his life. Marcus told her about working construction. About raising his son alone. About nights when bills felt heavier than hope. About the day he lost everything that mattered. His voice never asked for pity. Only carried truth. Elena listened without interruption. For the first time in years she felt something she had forgotten. Connection without transaction. Days passed. Noah recovered slowly. Each morning he asked if the kind men would come again. Marcus did not want attention, but Elena insisted. The hospital eventually confirmed what had happened. A rare overlooked condition had been corrected by immediate manual intervention before permanent damage. The board of the hospital wanted to know who Marcus was. Elena refused to let them treat him like a curiosity. Instead, she invited him into a private meeting. A room usually reserved for executives and decisions that moved money across continents. Marcus entered uncomfortable in his simple clothes. Elena stood and addressed him not as a businessman but as a human being. "You saved my son," she said again. "And I cannot repay that with money alone." Marcus replied softly. "Then do not try." That answer surprised her. For most of her life every problem had a price. But this one did not. Elena offered him a position leading emergency response training programs across her hospital network. Not as charity, but as recognition of what she had witnessed. Marcus hesitated. He had never been inside that world. But he thought of Noah. Of other children. Of moments where small knowledge could mean everything. He finally agreed. Months later the hospital changed. Training improved. Emergency mistakes decreased. Lives were quietly saved because of systems Marcus helped design. But the most important change was not in statistics. It was in people. Doctors began to listen more carefully. Nurses began to trust instincts again. And Elena Hart began to see success differently. One evening she visited Noah in the garden outside the hospital. Marcus was there sitting beside him, teaching him how to identify birds by sound. Noah laughed, something he had not done freely in weeks. Elena watched quietly. Marcus noticed her and nodded. She sat down beside them. The sun was setting softly, turning everything golden. Elena spoke quietly. "I used to think strength meant control," she said. "Now I think it means knowing when to listen." Marcus nodded. "Strength is also knowing when to stop walking away." Silence followed, but it was warm. Noah leaned against his father, then looked at Elena. "Are you happy now?" he asked innocently. Elena paused. "Not because of money or success," she said softly. "But because I understand something I forgot for a long time." The boy smiled. "That is good." Marcus looked at both of them. "Sometimes life breaks us just to show us what matters." Elena nodded slowly. In that moment, none of them were billionaire, single dad, or patient. They were simply people sharing a quiet piece of life. And sometimes that is enough. Days later, Marcus stood in front of a training group at the hospital. He was no longer invisible. But he still spoke with the same calm voice. He told them, "You do not need to be the smartest in the room. You just need to see what others miss." Elena watched from the back of the room. She remembered the first moment she saw him. A stranger who stepped into chaos without permission. And changed everything. Not with power. Not with money. But with presence. And in a world that often forgets simple humanity. That was the most shocking thing of all. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment.